These are the operator pick and ban stats from the first 4 play days of the NAL 2021 Stage 2. So as opposed to the previous video I made where you couldn't really see the numbers very well, I assume and I hope that you could see it better in this one, I'm sure, probably. Because on this one I actually zoomed in, and the other one it was zoomed out because I had more things to fit. So anyways, so I combined all the stats. This is over the course of 170 rounds, and if you're curious at all what maps were played, we have 4 plays of Consulate, 3 Villa, 3 Cafe, 2 Oregon, 2 Chalet, 1 Coastline, and 1 Clubhouse. And I've made just a bunch of notes there at the bottom. There's actually a few more that you can't see on the screen, but I'll let you know when I get there. So just going down the line, the top 5 attackers by presence, we have Zofia, Hibana, Thatcher, Nomad, and Sledge. The lowest one there, Sledge, has a 68% presence. That's pretty high. Top 5 attackers by picked divided by available. So rounds that they were picked in divided by the rounds that they were available in. Zofia, Sledge, Nomad, Hibana, Ash. So it's the same 5 almost, but now we have Thatcher in instead of Ash, and Sledge has moved up to 2nd place from 5th place. So for the top attackers, we have 6 different ones by the 2 metrics, presence and picked divided by available. Then for defenders by presence, we have Jaeger, Valkyrie, Mute, Smoke, Mira, and they all have at least a 67%, which is very close to the attackers. It's interesting that it's so similar. And then the top 5 defenders by pick divided by available, Jaeger, Smoke, Mute, Valkyrie, Mozzie, and it's 40% plus, whereas the attackers was 45% plus. So that's pretty close as well. A little bit of a parity there between attackers and defenders, which I probably think you don't always see. Moving down the line, of the 12 above operators, 10 of them were released in the first 2 years of the game. So the base 20 operators plus, I guess, 16 extra operators. The last of which being the set that Zofia came in. So Thatcher, Sledge, and Ash were all initial operators, and then Zofia, Hibana were added in the first 2 years of the game, and then Nomad I think was year 3. And then for defenders, it's the same thing where 5 of them came from the first 2 years. The only one not is Mozzie. And then of the 12 also, none of them were released in the last 2 years. So that would be going back to year 4, season 2, because we're now in year 6, season 2. Mozzie just dodges this. He was in year 4, season 1, and he was the other exception. So we have a bunch of the base operators of Jaeger, Smoke, Mute, Ash, Thatcher, Sledge, 6 base operators, and then Hibana, Nomad, Mozzie, etc. Anyways, moving on. So like I was saying, none of the operators that came out in the last 2 years were there, but there's a lot that are like pretty close or were really high up until they got nerfed. So Yana is pretty high currently. Ace was, I think, like the highest until he got the recent nerf. Flores is seeing quite a bit of play. It could go up or down, we'll see. He could get a nerf, possibly. Goyo was really popular when he had 3 shields. Wamai was really popular when he still had the deployable shield. Malusi recently got nerfed. Zero got nerfed before he got released to pro play. He lost access to his frag grenades, so maybe if he had that, he would have been very popular. And then Aruni was pretty popular last season. And then moving on, we have the unpicked operators. So we have Rook, Kavira, Montaigne, Amaru, Nook, Kali, Dokubi, Fuse, Blackbeard, and then Thunderbird if you want to count it, but of course you're not allowed to play that in pro play just yet. So we only have 2 defenders unpicked, but we have 7 attackers unpicked. It's sort of surprising that we've seen no Montaigne play, considering we've seen Blitz play. It was just for the 1 round. But Montaigne, I guess he did get the nerf. He's not nearly as good as he once was, but he still has a purpose, you would think. And Kali, I think she sees an okay amount of play in the other regions, especially considering how much Thatcher is banned. Dokubi no picks, a little bit surprising, because you do see some Lion, some Jackal, Fuse, makes sense. And then Blackbeard, not that he was ever picked much anyways, but he got nerfed as well. Oryx, we saw played in like 6 rounds on the first day, and then haven't seen him since. Ella has been picked in every playday, either 2 or 3 times. Thatcher's been picked in every playday 1 or 2 times. He's only been picked in 9% of available rounds. So I think it's got to the point with Thatcher that he's banned so much that teams are just used to not practicing with him, and so they just don't pull him out. Where, on the other hand, Valkyrie, the most banned defender, who gets banned even more than Thatcher, she still gets played quite a lot in the round she's available in. And then just a few more interesting points. Thatcher bans about 67% of the time, Valkyrie banned about 71%, so very high for both of them. Thatcher has always been banned on Oregon, Cafe, and Villa, and that's not terribly interesting to some degree because like Oregon's only been played twice and the other 2 have only been played 3 times, but 3 times, so you're getting sort of a pattern there. Sledge is almost 6 times as popular as Buck, so Sledge on what, 68% presence, whereas Buck is only on 12%, and it used to be probably Buck was the preferable one of the 2. because he can do up and down vertical destruction, whereas Sledge can only do down. But Sledge has the frags, and that's what makes or breaks the decision, really. But not zero play for Buck. He still gets pulled out here and there. Flores has always been banned on Oregon, all 2 times. Hibana on Villa. Valkyrie always banned on Villa and Coastline. Wamai always banned on Oregon and Chalet. Thatcher and Hibana together make up 49% of attacker bans, and Valkyrie and Mira together make up about 52% of defender bans. So the 4 operators together there, Valkyrie, Mira, Thatcher, Hibana, make up over half of all the bans. We still see Jaeger on top of the defenders despite nerf after nerf. He got that damage nerf a while ago, and now recently he got the clip size nerf, the recoil nerf, he got the gadget rework or change, however you want to call it. Ashe used to be one of, if not the highest operator at all times for attack, but no longer. She's still pretty high, sitting around 5 or so, depending on what metric you're using. She's still good, but just not as good as she used to be. No cap bans at all, and very little play. Maybe the power creep got to him, but at one point, and maybe at multiple points, he was like the most banned operator, more so than Thatcher even. And even when he declined, he would still get banned here and there, especially on maps like Clubhouse, where he's very useful to clear out rafters and garage. But now, yeah, very little play, no bans at all. We've seen only 11 different attackers banned and only 7 different defenders banned. 6 of those attackers have only been banned once, and 3 of the defenders only banned once. So I guess we only have 5 attackers that have been banned more than once and 4 defenders that have been banned more than once. We have seen 23 different attackers played, whereas we've seen 27 different defenders played. And there's actually even one more attacker available to be played right now. We're at the point of disparity because Thunderbird's not available yet to be played in pro play. So a lot more diversity on defense. You can pull out the pocket picks a little bit more. All 4 hard breachers are pretty close to each other on the chart. You can see we have Hibana, and then we have Yana in the middle, but then we have Thermite, Ace, Maverick, so they're all either next to each other or have only one in between. We've seen a hard breacher ban in 7 of the 16 games, and now interestingly, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but Ace has the lowest presence of hard breachers. I guess he doesn't have the strictly lowest picked when available of the hard breachers, that'd be Maverick, but still lowest presence of all the hard breachers, and he's the only one that's gone a full day without being picked. And really this is because he lost his throwables. Of course his gadget is throwable, but he doesn't have additional throwables to use or to burn ADSs or Wamai magnets or whatever. So he had smokes before, and now Thermite has his smokes instead. So Thermite has access to stuns or smokes, and Ace has access to neither, nor grenades. So yeah, one little change took him all the way from the top to the bottom of the hard breachers. And also I found this really interesting. Ace was only picked in 1 round where there wasn't a hard breach ban. And of course he was the only one that hasn't been banned of the hard breachers, but only on 1 map where there wasn't a hard breach ban was he picked for 1 single round. And then just for the stats that you guys can't see on the screen, or just the little notes, I guess, Gridlock has been picked only when Nomad is banned. Nomad is always banned on Consulate and only banned on Consulate. Only about 22% of Zero's picks have come when Nomad was not banned, and similarly, only about 46% of Lion's picks have been when Nomad wasn't banned, and those all came from Space Station on Cathay. They all came from 1 single map because they played Lion on every single attack, so that's sort of inflating that stat. So this is really just to say that Nomad is by far the best flank watch operator. You can sort of use Lion, Zero, and Gridlock to do it when Nomad's banned, but if she's not banned, then you pretty much just pull out the Nomad. And the only time I think when Zero was picked when Nomad wasn't banned was on Chalet by, I can't remember what team it was actually. It might have been TSM, but I'm not sure. And so there you have it. You can see how the meta has developed in the NAL over the first 4 playdays, and we still have 5 more playdays to go before the season ends. So we'll see where we're at that point. But if you just take off like Blitz, Glaz, and then maybe even like Ying and Capitao because they've been picked very little. Of course, you can't take off Thatcher because he has so many rounds where he's banned. But then everything above that, that's sort of all the staples and kind of niche picks. And then for defenders, you could probably cut off quite a lot of the bottom. Everything probably below Wamai. And I guess Legion has 13 picks, so maybe you need to take that into account. And then the rest are just sort of flavor picks. Like you pull out Ella if you want to run around a little bit and you get a shield, and Clash if you have the strat forward, and Oryx, I guess if you're playing Coastline. And, you know, all these guys work with Tachanka, Warden, Doc. Like they're all good in specific situations, in specific strategies if you want to run it that way. But I guess that's going to do it.